Today, Audi feels like just another luxury car brand. In reality, it became the foundation of Volkswagen's entire performance empire. The story began in 1965, when Volkswagen acquired Auto Union from Daimler-Benz. At the time, Volkswagen was known for one car above all else, the Beetle. Reliable, affordable, but hardly a competitor to Mercedes or BMW. Auto Union changed that. Volkswagen revived the Audi name and, over the following decades, transformed it into one of Germany's leading premium manufacturers. Then Audi became something even more valuable. It became Volkswagen's acquisition specialist. In 1998, Audi purchased Lamborghini. 4 years later, it acquired Ducati. Suddenly, the company best known for building executive sedans also controlled one of the world's most famous supercar manufacturers, and one of its most iconic motorcycle brands. Audi wasn't just another badge inside the Volkswagen Group. It became the bridge between Volkswagen's everyday cars and its most extreme machines. Without Audi, there is no Lamborghini inside Volkswagen. There is no Ducati. And the empire Volkswagen built over the last 3 decades looks very different. Lamborghini. Ferruccio Lamborghini didn't dream of building supercars. He built tractors. After the Second World War, his company became one of Italy's largest agricultural machinery manufacturers, making him wealthy enough to buy almost any car he wanted. So he bought a Ferrari. He loved the performance. He hated the clutch. Convinced he could improve it, Ferruccio drove to Maranello and told Enzo Ferrari himself. The response became one of the most famous insults in automotive history. Enzo dismissed him as nothing more than a tractor builder who didn't understand sports cars. Ferruccio went home with one goal: build a better one. In 1963, Lamborghini was born. Within a few years, it had created some of the most spectacular supercars the world had ever seen. Then everything changed. The oil crisis devastated sales. Money disappeared. And in 1978, Lamborghini entered bankruptcy. What followed was decades of uncertainty. One owner replaced another. Chrysler took control. Then a Malaysian investment group. Then an Indonesian company. Each promised a new beginning. None lasted. Finally, in 1998, Audi stepped in and bought Lamborghini. And Audi, of course, belongs to Volkswagen. Which means the company Ferruccio Lamborghini created after being insulted by Enzo Ferrari now belongs to the same corporate group that builds the Volkswagen Golf. The Revuelto and the Polo couldn't be more different. Yet behind the badges, they answer to the very same parent company, Bugatti. Most people think Bugatti is a French car company. It isn't. At least, not entirely. The brand was founded by Italian engineer Ettore Bugatti, in a part of Europe that belonged to Germany at the time, and only later became French territory. From the very beginning, Bugatti's identity was more complicated than most people realized. During the early 20th century, Ettore Bugatti built some of the most extraordinary racing and road cars the world had ever seen. But after his death in 1947, the company slowly faded away and had effectively stopped building cars by the 1960s. Then, in 1998, Bugatti came back to life. Volkswagen bought the rights to the legendary name as part of Ferdinand Piëch's ambitious plan to assemble the greatest collection of luxury car brands in the world. The result was the Veyron, a 1,000-horsepower hypercar, powered by a W16 engine and cooled by 10 radiators. It became one of the most technologically ambitious road cars ever created. It also lost money on every single car Volkswagen built, but profit was never the point. The Veyron existed to prove what the Volkswagen Group was capable of achieving when engineering came before economics. Then came one final twist. In 2021, Volkswagen transferred Bugatti into a joint venture with Rimac, a Croatian company founded by a young engineer named Mate Rimac, who had started building electric cars in a garage little more than a decade earlier. Today, the future of Bugatti is no longer being shaped in France or Germany. It's being shaped by a company from Croatia that barely existed when the Veyron was rewriting the history books. Porsche. Who owns Porsche? It sounds like a simple question. It isn't. Most people think Porsche is just another brand inside the Volkswagen Group. That's true, but it's only part of the story. Porsche AG is the company that builds the 911, the Cayenne, and every other Porsche you see on the road. Volkswagen owns that company. So far, everything makes sense. Then the story takes a turn. Volkswagen itself is controlled by Porsche SE, a holding company owned by the Porsche and Piech families, the direct descendants of Ferdinand Porsche, which means the family behind Porsche controls Volkswagen, while Volkswagen owns Porsche. In other words, the family controls the company that owns the company their family originally created. And because Volkswagen also owns Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, Ducati, and many other brands, the Porsche family doesn't just influence Porsche. It helps control one of the largest automotive empires on Earth. The company that builds the 911 is owned by Volkswagen, but the family behind the 911 ultimately controls Volkswagen. It sounds impossible, until you realize that's exactly how Porsche designed it. Rolls-Royce and Bentley. In 1998, two German companies went to war over two British legends. Volkswagen and BMW both wanted to buy Rolls-Royce Motors, the company that built both Rolls-Royce and Bentley. BMW seemed like the obvious winner. It already supplied the engines and electronics used by both brands. Volkswagen had a different advantage: more money. It offered £430 million and won the auction. The deal was done, or so everyone thought. Then Volkswagen discovered something extraordinary. It had bought the factory, the engineers, the designs, even Bentley, but it hadn't bought the name Rolls-Royce. The famous Rolls-Royce name and the double R logo were owned by Rolls-Royce plc, the aerospace company that built aircraft engines, not luxury cars. BMW quietly approached the aerospace company and secured the rights to the name for just £40 million. Volkswagen had paid more than 10 times as much and still couldn't build a Rolls-Royce. The solution permanently divided two of Britain's greatest luxury brands. Volkswagen kept Bentley and the historic factory and crew. BMW kept the Rolls-Royce name and built an entirely new factory in Goodwood. Today, Rolls-Royce belongs to BMW. Bentley belongs to Volkswagen. Two of the most iconic British luxury brands in history, both owned by Germany. And the company that paid the most didn't get the name it wanted: Ducati. Most people think Ducati has nothing to do with the car industry. After all, it builds motorcycles, some of the fastest and most extreme motorcycles on Earth. The Panigale V4 produces more than 200 horsepower, weighs less than 200 kilograms, and can reach speeds well above 300 kilometers per hour. It feels like a world completely separate from cars. It isn't. Ducati belongs to Lamborghini, Lamborghini belongs to Audi, and Audi belongs to Volkswagen, which means the same corporate group that builds the Volkswagen Polo and the Volkswagen Golf also builds the Ducati Panigale, the Lamborghini Revuelto, the Bentley Continental GT, the Porsche 911, and some of the most exclusive performance machines ever created. Vehicles that couldn't feel more different, all answering to the same corporate structure. The badges may compete, the marketing may tell different stories, but behind the scenes, many of the world's most iconic performance brands ultimately lead back to the same boardroom. Sometimes the biggest rivalry in the automotive world exists only on the showroom floor. For decades, these brands have competed against each other. Different countries, different histories, different badges, different identities. To the public, they look like rivals, but behind the scenes, many of them answer to the same boardroom. The Volkswagen Group didn't become one of the largest automotive companies in the world by building one great car. It became one of the largest by quietly collecting the brands that defined entire generations. From the Golf, to the 911, to the Revuelto, to the Continental GT, the names may be different, the stories may be different, but in the end, they're all chapters of the same empire.